Live from Ohio University, you're watching WOUB2, television for Athens County.
Martin Luther King Jr. was remembered yesterday, but one school district was still in session.
The need is greater than ever, but the money is diminishing. Athens residents marched to raise awareness about local homelessness.
And Republicans are back at work today after the Tucson tragedy. What they're trying to accomplish in the House. It's all coming up on Athens Midday.
The Athens and Ohio University community marched in honor of Martin Luther King yesterday. Good afternoon, I'm Evan Armour.
And I'm Nadia Sheng. Martin Luther King Day has turned into a week at Ohio University. The recognition of the civil rights leader began yesterday, and some people plan on continuing the celebration past MLK Day. Athens Midday Katie Donaldson is live in the newsroom to tell us about how these next few days will honor Dr. King.
Hi. Organizers of this now week-long event want to celebrate Dr. King's efforts. They say one day is just not enough to mark his heroic life. Martin Luther King Jr.
It means a lot to me because I think this is something that should be remembered and not forgotten, and I think it's great that we still have these kind of events going on today, and I hope that it continues in the future because Martin Luther King did a great duty for our country.
Monday marked the beginning of the week's events to celebrate Dr. King's life and work. The kickoff was a silent march. The silent march began here at Galbraith Chapel and took a path to Baker University Center for a brunch and keynote speaker.
It's kind of symbolizing the silent marches and the protests that used to go on in the 60s. This is just something that, like I said, to remember Dr. Martin Luther King, as well as get the campus and the community involved as well.
Event coordinators say they hope both campus and international issues of justice will be brought to light when remembering this man.
But everywhere you go over the world, there are people who are grappling with issues of injustice, whether it is social injustice, economic injustice, political injustice. And Martin Luther King's message is a global message. It's not one that only people in the United States identify with.
A good 50 years ago, Ohio University was not as integrated as it is now, and I think with us having African-American president of the university being the first one and one of few in the entire country, I think it's just used to celebrate and just show that what he's done is worth more than a day.
The world certainly has come a long way from Dr. King's time. Events are planned from now until Friday. I'm Katie Donaldson reporting live from the newsroom for Athens Midday.
Those events begin this evening with a discussion panel on injustice. At athensmidday.com, you can find details on all the Martin Luther King Jr. events this week. While most Ohio schools had yesterday off in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, students at Belpre schools hit the books. The school district has already used 5 calamity days, and like all schools in the state, it's only allowed 3. Along with their regular studies, the students also learned about Martin Luther King's impact on the country.
A laborers union files a lawsuit claiming workers were underpaid during a recent project at Ohio University. Ohio University was not named in the suit, but the Union of Sheet Metal Workers is protesting low wages during Shively Hall's renovation. Ohio University hired Midwest Maintenance Incorporated to complete the project. The suit claims the company paid less than the prevailing union wage that Ohio law requires on the state public improvement projects. The union is asking for back pay and for the state to ban Midwest Maintenance from state contracts for 1 year. Ohio University police are still looking for the man who exposed himself to a female student Thursday night. A female student says she was walking in a parking lot near Stewart Street just before 11 p.m. when the man pulled down his pants and made a vulgar statement. When the female fled the area, the male did not follow. The suspect is described as white, college age with shaggy dark brown hair and facial hair. OUPD asks anyone with more information to call police or to call Crime Solvers with an anonymous tip.
County commissioners met this morning to discuss the safety of area bridges. A request was made by the county engineers to apply for a grant to place load limits on the county's bridges. The grant would fund a study to determine the load limits and whether some bridges should be close to traffic. Commission President Lenny Leeson says it's important to know the condition of these grants.
Bridges get older, you have to watch them a lot more. We've replaced a lot of bridges in the county, but we still have some bridges that need to be replaced. So you have to be wary so you don't have an accident.
Okay. Has there been...
The county engineers say they're not certain how much money will be needed for the project. Homelessness in our region is increasing, but funding to assist those same people is decreasing. That tension is forcing local residents to take matters into their own hands. Athens MidDay reporter Jacob Dare joins us live to talk about what local residents are doing.
The local homeless shelter is the Timothy House. More than 85 people showed up at the shelter last year. But the shelter was full and all of them had to be turned away. It's stories like these that spurred local residents to try to raise money in a Walk for the Homeless. The 9th annual Good Works Walk for the Homeless brought volunteers together to support a problem affecting not just Athens County, but the whole region.
All the funds that are collected from the walk go to support the Timothy House, which is the only shelter for people without homes in 9 counties.
Keith Wasserman started Good Works in 1981 to provide support to the poor in Appalachia. The walk is one type of outreach they provide to a community without much support from local government.
Most of our dollars, however, are private individual donors. Now, there is a lot of caring people in the city and in Athens County, a lot of very caring people who sustain the organization.
Unfortunately for Wasserman, county support may decrease. The Athens County Commission has already cut $100,000 from the 2011 operating budget of the Athens County Department of Job and Family Services. Additionally, Governor Kasich must make up for an $8 billion state budget deficit. County spokesman Nick Clausen says he would ideally like an increase in state funding this year. The problems have only worsened over time.
Food pantries are seeing more and more people come in. Some people never had to go to pantries before, but they're in a situation now where people don't necessarily want to ask for help, but they need help.
But Wasserman's goals are larger and are about more than just money. The strength of the program is its focus on individual caring.
The mission of Good Works is not just to help others, but to also provide an avenue through which ordinary people can help their neighbors.
With or without funding, the program's care will continue. Reporting for Athens MidDay, I'm Jacob Durr. Wasserman says he hopes the event will raise $50,000.
Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords continued her recovery process over the weekend. Giffords is breathing on her own after she was removed from a ventilator, and doctors remain optimistic about her progress. Giffords is unable to vocalize, but she is responding to more complex commands and expressing emotion towards her husband. After surgery to reconstruct her right eye socket, Congresswoman Giffords is opening her eyes more frequently. Doctors say the next step is rehabilitation and that she could be transferred to a rehab center soon. House Republicans are resuming their bid to repeal health care reform today after a delay caused by those shootings in Arizona. Debate begins today on a bill to overturn this signature initiative of the Obama administration. Republicans say they hope to get the bill approved before the next week's State of the Union speech. The vote is scheduled for tomorrow, and some Democrats are expected to vote with the GOP.
A new study finds that teens who are exposed to tobacco ads are more likely to smoke. More than 2,000 German teens participated in the study. Researchers showed ads for cigarettes and non-tobacco products such as cars and cell phones to the teens over a 9-month period. During the study, 13% of students started smoking, but researchers didn't find a tie to the non-tobacco products. The study found that other factors such as older age and lower socioeconomic status also contributed to the teens' decision to pick up the habit. The researchers say the U.S., like Germany, has considerably weaker anti-tobacco marketing policies. Facebook creators just changed the profile layout, but now they're making even more changes. We'll tell you what they're doing.
And there's upsetting news out of Iraq after a suicide bomber took nearly 50 lives.
These things we count on every day started as ideas. Ideas from the minds of African Americans. Support minority education today so we don't miss out on the next big idea tomorrow. The United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Once they've outgrown their toddler seat, they're still not ready for adult safety belts alone. 4'9" is the magic number. Until then, kids need a booster seat. Make sure your little pumpkin gets there safely. Visit boosterseat.gov.
Big dreams and good grades aren't enough to get into college. There are actual steps you need to take. Finding someone who can help is the first and most important. For the next steps, go to knowhowtogo.org.
My pot of gold, your daddy's little girl, till heaven home.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Iraqi officials say at least 45 people have been killed and 140 wounded in a suicide bombing north of Baghdad. The bombing took place outside a police station where recruits were gathered to apply for jobs. At least 2 of those killed were police officers. Loudspeakers at mosques were calling on people to donate blood for the wounded. Recruitment centers have been a favorite target for insurgents. President Obama is preparing for the arrival of China's leader to Washington. Hu Jintao is on his way to the U.S. for a 3-day visit, where he will be honored with a lavish state dinner on Wednesday. Symbolism and protocol are very important to the Chinese, and it's hoped that the black tie affair will help relations with the country. U.S. officials hope for more cooperation with the Chinese dealing with rogue regimes in North Korea and Iran. Hu is expected to arrive late this evening.
Ohio gas prices have dropped but remain above the prices from this time last year. According to a survey from AAA Auto Club, drivers are paying an average of $3.06 for a gallon of gas. That's about 4 cents cheaper than last week. Rising oil prices have pushed Ohio gas prices above $3 for the first time in over 2 years. Ohioans were paying about 12 cents less for gas a month ago and about 38 cents less a year ago. Well, diving, not driving, right to the source, the state's parks and preserves may soon be drilled for gas and oil. The Department of Natural Resources plans to review the idea of drilling 600,000 acres of state parks. The Ohio Oil and Gas Association says the state could collect $30 million a year from lease payments and royalties. Those opposed to the measure say they would spoil protected lands. Well, good news in Middleport. The village's water system, which was once threatened to be shut down, is now being called the state's most improved. Middleport has a new well and miles of new water lines, but it was improvements in daily operation that impressed the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency. The system was almost shut down in 2008 following an annual inspection.
Marietta Mayor Michael Mullen won't say whether he's running for a 3rd term. He says he'll make some decisions this week. The filing deadline for the May primary is about 2 weeks away. 4 other candidates have indicated an interest in running for the seat. Athens County divers who dive into West Virginia don't have to worry about being chased back across the state lines by West Virginia Highway Patrol unless there's an extreme reason. The concern is West Virginia State Police use unmarked cars for traffic enforcement as opposed to the marked vehicles Ohio uses. Ohio State Police says any police vehicle that pulls you over should have lights and sirens at least. For safety, police say to ask to see some identification and can always know that you can dial 911.
Traveling back and forth on the World Wide Web, personal information is passed around on Facebook whether members like it or not. That's why Facebook is temporarily disabling a feature that gives application developers access to members' phone numbers. Addresses will also be withheld. The 2011 Golden Globe Awards were Sunday night, where the Facebook-inspired film The Social Network took home Best Movie Drama. And the Golden Globe goes to Glee. TV series Glee received 3, including Best Comedy or Musical TV Series. Natalie Portman took home the Best Actress award for her role as the troubled ballerina in the movie drama Black Swan. Annette Bening won Best Actress in a comedy or musical film for The Kids Are All Right, and British actor Colin Firth won Best Actor award for The King's Speech. All in all, it was a night of glitz and glamour, glitz and humor rather, particularly from host Ricky Gervais, who many thought was distasteful with his choice of jokes.
Breakfast.
Several of the recipients reacted to Gervais's negative hosting in their acceptance speeches. 7-year-old New York girl is recovering after a nearly fatal fall into a frozen lake. Sarah Thalhammer was walking a friend's dog when it pulled her onto an icy lake. A man nearby heard screams and called 911. Soon after, a police officer went into action, grabbing a life ring from his car and crawled on the ice to save her. While pulling her back, the ice broke, causing a mild panic. Crews on shore were able to pull them into safety. Firefighters were even able to rescue the dog. Well, Nadia, it was a little bit cooler, or actually warmer today, but when we come back, we'll have more about the weather.
We will. And a happy ending when a little girl is rescued from a frozen lake. We'll have that story coming up.